Ascendant 22 Scorpio, and I already made a video about Mercury retrograde on the 22nd degree, so I tended to that. I do, however, like to emphasize, just by observation, just how much time Mercury spends on that 22nd degree. Okay, so Mercury is a fast-moving planet, and it's fast-moving for a reason. This is communication, this is exchange, this is transportation, this is our nervous system, right? We wouldn't want our nervous system to have a delay when it is running, right? But in detriment, Mercury is in itself, okay, going a bit slow towards the station in the retrograde. Now it's retrograde. And that gives us a good time on that 22nd degree of Sagittarius that is really profound. And while Jupiter is in the sign of Mercury. So there's a deep connection between them. Mars, ruler of Ascendant, is still releasing from that opposition with Pluto. It is preparing to go retrograde itself on December 7th. So Mars is slowing down as well. And Mercury 22 is where children are murdered, where traitors are murdered. In the sign of Jupiter, there's something to do with beliefs. So I think this would be a fantastic time to question, what our beliefs about murder are, okay? In Jupiter, it's a big murder, in Jupiter's sign. That may express itself differently for different people, okay? I have Uranus in there, so naturally I think more mundanely about the topic. For other people, it can be very personal. Mercury was applying to square Neptune. So that's also something to think about, okay, that we have a manifesting aspect with the planet of loss, miracles, okay, crisis to do with loss, miracles, having to surrender things, pandemic, medicine, drugs abuse. Okay, drugs, for example, illegal drugs. Okay, you can illegally sell amphetamines that help somebody, I don't know, to finish their degree, or you can illegally sell MDMA that can help a person to go through a near-death experience and recover from sexual trauma. Or you can illegally sell a drug that is used to drug people and rape them, okay? Or turn them into rapists. So that is, and another thing is, Jupiter is also something that is on a soul level. Jupiter is our connection with the all that is, in the sense it's a very expansive planet, and it is not about death per se, it is more about expansion. So think about expanding on the idea of murder, of children, of traitors, of people who deal with contracts. So that can be the particular type of lawyers that deal with contracts. Okay, when a contract can murder somebody, or where somebody can be murdered because of words, because of contact. Right now, Ascendant 22 is on my Mars, but also on the son of a person who was murdered because he expressed something. He talked about against a WHO, which was a medical murder. And although he believed war on drugs is lost, he did not like this WHO and what they're doing. And we have reasons to believe that he knew, because he was very likely 33-degree Mason. So that might mean he was controversial in many ways and could get many people to have all kinds of feelings. But that is contemplating, okay, when a person's murdered because of their words. And in Jupiter's sign, that can be worldview beliefs. But we also have to hold, when do beliefs murder? If you believe it's okay to rape women, you basically believe it's okay to murder. Murder, okay? Yin and yang, internal murder, external murder. Murder of the soul, murder of the body, okay? We are where Ketu is releasing from Libra. So this is an equilibrium. If a person experienced the murder of the soul, okay, they might call in for murder of the body, so that they will not experience a murder of the soul. If a person tries to save themselves from murder by raping someone, is murdering their soul, okay, that creates for this situation where one person tries to save the body and then rapes another person, and then that person, their soul is murdered. They want to get the murder of the soul out of the body. It means bodies upon bodies, folks. When do beliefs that enable murder of the soul, like the way, unfortunately, in Judaism, the red on the sheets after wedding, people want to see that to show that the couple had sex. It's basically rape. It's not supposed to hurt anybody, not supposed to be in pain, not supposed to be, okay, this is not correct way, and it is rape and it's murder of the soul. And that's how people lose their virginity. That ends up in anti-Semitism all the time, and nobody bothers to change that. And I'm very tender with the word anti-Semitism. But let's expand on that, because sometimes you don't see red blood on white sheet, okay, in red and white, okay, you don't see it in red and white. Sometimes it is astral rape. Okay, so again, that paints an even more internal, right? Something that you don't see in energy, something that you cannot unsee in real life. Okay, murder that you cannot see in energy, murder that you cannot unsee in real life. Damage that you cannot see in energy, damage that you cannot unsee in real life. Okay, Mercury spends a great deal of time on this degree. Our views of incarnation, I was just reading Lada Duncheva post about, Indian tradition and how in past life you get for something for this life and sees it corrections and so on. Looking into my past life, I see that I incarnated here to mingle something that I did in past life with this life, but bring it. Okay, if I have midheaven with the same sign of Ketu, it means that my legacy has to do. Legacy is where we are going, right? But it has to do with where I've been. Okay. And also when I see ruler of the ruler of Ketu, okay, in ninth house together with ruler of the the ruler of Rahu, it means that where I've been, I'm coming to bring that. I've brought that in spirit. I'm coming to bring that in matter. It's a 22nd degree Mars. And And it's not an initiatory, it is a counter. So those who try to murder my soul or body, I think I would choose another victim. But also you must pay attention, because it might not save you, okay? If you are okay with rape, and Scorpio is internal, okay with psychologically raping people, psychically abusing them, isolating them, trying to get them to suicide. I don't have 11 degree in my chart, I have 22 degree. And it's retrograde, it means I respond. Okay? Retrograde means I am responding. Some might interpret it as self-murder, but because murder, 22, retrograde of self, but it's more likely that I'm responding to murders of soul, because I make it very obvious that that's a murder, not suicide. And so some souls came to incarnate here, and if I see what am I doing, okay, what am I doing, where I came from, where it's going, and although it does move, okay, I understand that this is something, there's some sort of an integration here, and in this life I'm a woman, okay. I mean, if I think about Donald Trump, he's 100% Hioka. Hioka is the townsfool that would be the one who is like, with true satire, showing society of what it is. Also the chief, okay, the king. And philosophically, you could ask yourself, what if the townsfool ruled the tribe or ruled the country? We get actually to see that experiment live with Donald Trump. How do we respond to the town's Hioka being in position of politics? Because it shows us who we are as people and how do we respond, especially indigenous tribes that have been on the soil for way longer, that they understand what Hioka is. Okay? How were women treated? Was there a place, sadness story, was there a place for a free woman? Was there a place for free children? Was there a place for a free woman within the tribe? Was there a place for an unwed woman within the tribe? Why, the tribes that say colonialism are the tribes that were left after, before the Americans, those who will call themselves later Americans, came. What happened between tribes, okay? All of that is manifested in that Hioka character of Donald Trump. This is, I think, why he won and not Kamala. Because Kamala, it would be appropriate for Kamala to win and then to have like an upturn, because then we'll have like a black woman president of United States. The pyramid is upside down, and she's also MK Ultra, okay? But the Hioka part is even more, pyramid is upside down, because we have a very white to orange person that's old enough to consider elderly, right? The elders of the tribe, those that we would listen to, that has done business and real estate upon the entire soil of United States, that has seen karma and has seen intuition and is acting like the town's fool, right? Especially, particularly, those indigenous tribes, they are illegal immigrants. Okay? Don't think that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Don't think that Donald Trump doesn't have a lineage in that sense. Okay? And for those who call him Orange Jesus, I also did. I see Donald Trump with the kippah. So in those ritual ceremonies, they're actually wearing kippah, I guess. I don't know. But don't think that if you are just following like the horde of the townsful when he's showing you satire, you're not going to end up like the end of the satire that was very real. Adolf Hitler was a great satiricist. He looks better than his imitation of Charlie Chaplin. It is more funny to watch Hitler than to watch Chaplin. That joke ended somehow. Who were the people in concentration camps, in death camps? You say the Jews. Okay, who was considered a Jew? Who was considered a Jew? He didn't like traditional family values? Jew. Okay? But also, you're a Mason, although Hitler was Mason, not of his lodge, Jew. What does that remind us of? Same tribal wars, that some of them are Masons now, that we had in the land of America before anybody from Europe came or Britain came to America. That's the War of the Lodges. It's tribal war. You're indigenous folks. Okay? Those who rely on slavery, what happened to them? Whose economy relies on slavery. Okay, if your workplace relies on enslaving people, getting people into debt, then the one employee that says, I don't want to do it, they end up on welfare. Now you look at that employee and you say, you live on my account, rather than to understand on whose account you are living in. Okay? Whatever happens with that person is happening with that person. But why do you think you will be exempt from, okay, whatever these cults do anyway to people? Why is there a connection between political assassination and murder of women who escape violence or who divorce a violent husband? Okay, and men also have violent, okay, women that they try to divorce and then they end up broke. Why is it all the same when it comes to how the police works or doesn't work? The ultimatums. Okay, why do I find myself relating so much to Peter R. the Free struggle with the police ultimatum before he got assassinated? Because that's basically what I've been dealing with for at least so far the second part of my life. The first was, society, people, isolation, seeing things around me that are absurd. The second is starting to speak about it. Well, they're all murdered like women because they're all considered the feminine to the cult. The attempt is to try to humiliate the person using something that reminds of femininity. It's the same ritual. Why was those who threatened to assassinate Geert Wilders, okay, talking about him, one of the people saying the teeth of a Jewish whore, okay, uh, okay, Muslim Brotherhood of Satan, okay, they're just doing the same old. So Mercury here on degree 22 is both about those sequences where people murdered for their beliefs, but also what beliefs do you hold that are murdering people that you don't know? Murdering innocent people, murdering people that only want to live and thrive and are not against you in any way. They want you to live and thrive as well. But if you try to enslave them, to rape them, to make it impossible for them to have a job that is respectful of their sovereignty, then you know why was on the gate to the ghettos written Arbeit macht frei. Okay, Adolf Hitler, what was his profession? He was a painter. He says, I could not be an officer. And he was a Taurus. So a person that needs comfort, that needs good food, that needs good rest in order to create. Where was all of this society when he was homeless? Where was society? When he was doing his job, painter, where was society? All they had to do is make him believe, hey, the people responsible for that you are homeless are Jewish bankers. So say, I will arrest, what is Rothschild? I will arrest Rothschild. And he understood he cannot relate to people if he doesn't talk about jobs for people, for the working class. But internally, he was a painter. He was an artist. That was his job. So the picture of Arbeit macht frei, if you don't understand where it's coming from, and we are at the exact same times in history. I would not be surprised if, as I am speaking, would not be the time where Hitler said, okay, we're going to put this here. Because 1941 began the camps. So I think he was designing the sign at this time. And he worked with design, okay? He designed for the Nazi flag, he designed for these things, that's what he did. But he also designed a picture with flesh and blood of a giant satire about labor that is very difficult to appreciate. But I guess it was also very difficult to appreciate that he was a painter and did not deserve to die in torture for being a man of the arts. So indeed, he got himself cyanide. It is torture, but less. But only after he painted that picture. Within Masonry, which is why those Masons were in the ghetto, you had no other way. Memento Mori cult, it's a death cult, right? And we are conjoining that with the time in history where people get that, hey, the land, architecture, buildings, houses, masonry. We have housing crisis. Why? Because it's like a pandemic that people become more and more aware. Who is head of the armed forces that are supposed to operate with extincting housing? Okay, and were agenda contributors to the WEF, World Economic Forum, is head of NATO, and working with a businessman who did a lot of real estate work, which is Donald Trump. That's Mark Rutte. What do we know about Mark Rutte? Mark Rutte lived alone in an apartment in The Hague. Humble apartment in The Hague. Lived there alone. Traveled with bikes to the Tweede Kamer, okay, to his work. Rides an SUV, Saab, okay, Swedish car. Not into Lightyear 1, I guess. There's a solar car in Netherlands. In Volvo they had, the car is electric, but the pole which charges it, which has way less bandwidth, is solar. A tiny step to man, a giant step to the moon. Moon doesn't understand why I'm not manifesting here something beautiful on Earth. They try to get to the moon. Okay, so the person who is in charge of ruining all of your housing right now, and you say, oh, he lives in Brussels in this big mansion. He lives under a giant rusty old A-bomb underneath the bedroom, particularly. Very likely missing his The Hague apartment. Okay. But how many of you were okay for a person to go to an asylum, a mental hospital, to have housing and money confiscated, because then you said the person needs apotropos, right? How many of you were okay before you got lasered, your entire city got lasered? How many were you okay? Oh, yes, that person is crazy. Put them in some place. Who knows if they're raped, if they're tortured. Nobody gives a flying fuck. How many of you were okay with that? Yeah, that person was crazy. He was going to get help. So you are getting help. How many of you listened to doctors before COVID? How many of you still do? So you tell me COVID was not needed? I wish COVID was not needed. I'm of the person that turns to these people, okay, that tries to sweeten the verdict. But if you cannot accommodate for a free person, if you cannot accommodate for a solitary person to live alone, it means all your marriages are rape, all your children born from rape. What do you think will come up from that? A happy, thriving, healthy human being doesn't ask themselves, oh, can I get away with murder? Let that sink in for a little second. Jupiter is also a sign of choices, okay? For how long will we blame the people who had rape of the soul for their choices? Men rape women, and then why are they losing their sensuality? Because you have been consecutively raping her for astrally and physically if you were married. So now there's nothing left of her. She cannot take care of the children. She cannot clean the house. She cannot take care of the cat. Now, when the cat is gone and was ritually sacrificed by your neighbors or something, now you're like, oh my God, I miss the cat. I miss the pet. I miss this. I miss. You miss. Of course you miss. Stop raping people and you will have something in your life that stays. Stop seeing sex as duty. And you will have sensual women around you that stay sensual around you. Stop blaming people for their rape. Those who comply with enslaving people, raping people, for they end up the same. And for many of them, it's also how it began. Then that is supposed to be reasonable. This Mercury 22 in Jupiter sign connects murder to beliefs, murder to worldview, but also murder to sperm. You know of when they say, for people who read the Bible, okay, then they said the sperm of ta 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 will be wiped off the earth. This is that's what it means. The sperm of those who rape children or murder children or murder in the name of trade, like human trade, will be wiped off the earth. Okay, it's an important teaching to remember, because we are, the ICC is not going to tend to any democide, genocide, or something like they don't. And if they do, it's because they have an agenda around one or another country that does that. So you're left with laws of nature. What laws of nature? Yeah, you can do all this rape, this, that, get away with it for a while. Then the sperm of your lineage will be wiped off the earth because you're depleting your sperm count. We try to keep trying to ask of people to do impossible. A woman cannot be sensual and wet and joyous and lush if she's not loved and cared for and respected, okay? You try to keep expecting her to be that which she cannot do, then what happens? Your sperm will be wiped off the earth. And what does that mean? It means a democide, dear. Mercury is also technology. Think about the laser technology that ruins city. Big cities ruined by laser technology. I'm afraid such a thing can happen by the time Mercury is going direct on this degree. No, I cannot be exposing all the corruption that happens without telling you about the corruption of the people as well. I'm the person that would go to NAFO News and say, Ruth, the deepest of respect, we are waiting for footage from your meeting with Mr. Trump. I'm the person who would post that comment. I didn't see anybody post such comment. But I cannot tell you about that I do this and I request for people to be transparent, where the We the People part is complying with rape. What do you think will happen? The very people that you will say, oh my God, they are horrible, they are this, they are that, because the very people that you did not accommodate for them living slowly in a solitary apartment in The Hague. If you have problem with what happens to children, let's take care of it across the board. I also have problem with what happens to children. Those are the children. They are the children. If your antidote to slavery is you have to work hard, you have to this, you have to that. A person is naturally working hard. When I'm doing the half moons in the soil, I cannot be stopped. Sometimes I barely drink. I have to remember to drink. Why? Because I like doing that. And it's needed. It's needed right now to turn this soil into fertile soil. Before it becomes almost impossible weather conditions and so on. And when you work the soil, you see who lived here before, what they did. Yeah, so yesterday I spoke with a neighbor. He said there was a woman, Leah, okay? It's the middle name of my mom. And she was doing the garden together with him. So I learned something new about him. Okay, it was crazy for cleaning and order. And I asked him if he can do something for the woman in prostitution at the corner. You see who lived here before, right? What they did before. Then she was gone and he was not doing anything alone. So I said, do something with the soil. Put your intention to it. Because when you drink, you smoke like that, people think you are the problem. Also, if I wouldn't do that these half moons, people would think I am the problem. Yes, because I would get angry. But when you work with the soil and you create spaces to hold the water, now you're not the problem. Now you're creating something beautiful. And people are allowed to create. You know, Adolf Hitler, he wanted to create what? Pictures of the motherland, of nature, and he liked pictures of houses. And so he thought maybe he could be architect because he liked pictures. That would get him in the Mason, even if he wasn't before. Okay, so he was painting pictures of the motherland to connect people with the soil, with the earth, and of houses. So he wanted to connect people with houses. What did you do to him? Wow. The lodges. The people when he was homeless. And he was not a person who, and he was not, you think about it, oh, a painter, he doesn't want, no, he was warrior. Both Venusian and the Martian. Now you rape a woman. What do you think she will become? Adolf Hitler had Uranus in Venus sign, in Libra. So Libra is about trade. It's also about women. But it's about trade, revolution in trade, in money. It'll try to combine for a more social, okay, to make sure that people are housed, that they have job, that they have this. And it tried to adapt to the people, okay, because it's like, who can you speak to? Of the working class, you will have jobs, you will have this, okay. What can he say? I mean, he didn't manage to get his painting across, and then they made him paint it in Albert Markt-Frei in a ghetto. You think Germans were not thrown to the ghetto? Of course they were. Talked about debt and those who loan, okay, those who do loaning and then confiscate property because of debt. So if you evacuate someone from home because of debt, of course you will end up in concentration camp, okay? And then, of course, there was government. So with government, what happens? People begin to get other people not related into the debt camp as well. This, unfortunately, is what happened. You did not accommodate for these people And it happened not only in Germany, it happens on US soil. The things that they would do, that the tribes were doing to each other, then came these people from Britain that wanted to eliminate debt, and for this with diseases, with weird things, okay? Heard an indigenous person saying about United States, the Americans, okay, they didn't have to murder anybody. They just came and they had bacteria, and they had, from all the pandemics in Europe. But people just died by the hundreds. Now, of course, very likely they were doing something, but this was not visible. They maybe brought the virus or something. And some of it not intentional, some of it intentional. What do you think right now with all the refugees? People coming from all these countries, okay? All they do is prepare the food people get. If you go to India, a lot of people are sensitive. The stomach is not used to these bacteria. They lie sick. I have on YouTube a German couple. He's German, she's from Vietnam. She went to study in Germany a couple of years. Then she came with her boyfriend vacation on Vietnam. She became sick from her own family food. It's different bacteria. Okay, sometimes it's not a disease or anything like that. It's just like she's not used to that on a digestive system level. What do you think happened for all these refugees, all these crises? Traveling is important, but it's also important, okay, to remember that. Traveling, the way people can get murdered while traveling. This is also important. Mercury, 22 Sag. When I was in shelter in Netherlands, so many people were just travelers that got stuck. And then they went to the homeless shelter. They got okay. There was misunderstanding with the reservation at the hotel. Okay, you can't afford any other accommodation right now because it's Christmas. It was Christmas actually. They got stuck. They ended up in the shelter. Some people escaped jail charges for debt. Didn't murder anybody. Okay, people is trying to escape charges in jail for murder, so they travel. That's also Mercury. How many refugees are people that murdered their wife and escaped? Okay. Because this is a degree and it's in a sign of thinking, we have some leverage. It's not a lot of leverage, but we have some leverage before things start to happen, to think, okay, about Mercury as 22, technology of murder. If you have medications where, because Saturn is also in Jupiter sign, medications where you prescribe that against viral infection, and it causes viral infection. Okay, like the psychiatry prescribes that against people who want to kill themselves, and it causes them to want to kill themselves more. And you call it side effect. You call it science, and people listen to doctors because they were raised on listen to your father, listen to authority, listen to this, listen to that. The design that is, don't question, and that is called design. So basically, have some time to think about what is this 22 degree. Right now, this degree is happening on the axis of Sag and the Mercury. This is the axis where in 2030 we're going to have eclipses on this axis. And we're going to have a stellium in Sagittarius. This is where they want to plan a one world religion. And we're going to have Lilith with Ketu. We're going to have Ra in Sagittarius, the sign of expansion. And the Ketu in Gemini, which is a sign of small things. If you understand already, this is very likely when they plan to also, they put you first in 15-minute cities, and then, what is Ketu? It's purging, right? So they put you in the ghetto and then they bomb the ghetto. When the Second World War took place, they bombed the ghettos, okay? They bombed, the United States bombed Germany, bombed Dresden, Britain bombed Dresden, United States bombed Germany, bombed ghettos. It was in a war supposedly against the Allies, but whatever, against the Germany, not for the Jews. Definitely not for the lodges in the ghetto that would threaten the ghetto they will put there, because they threaten other lodges. But if your lodges are all built on ritual sacrifice and children, and the more higher up the rank, the more betrayal you have to make. You go to a lodge, they say it's secret. You cannot share it with your wife, with your family, with your date. Okay, now you feel like a man. Wonderful. She cannot have sex with you. She cannot have sex with you willingly, consensually. Just upon initiation, you lost chance to have sex with man or outside the cult or woman upon initiation, because what it means, you have to keep this secret. First of all, in sex is not secret. You will crave intimacy when your Kundalini rises. That's what you learned there, right? But your Kundalini rises together with woman. She will see all your secrets. And you hers. Okay? It's energy. You blend together. You say, I keep that secret. No, you cannot keep that secret. She will see, and she will not understand what she sees. I'm not even talking about ritual sacrifice. I'm not even talking about the rapes they have to do on camera of children, the electrocution to hold position in society. I'm not even talking about that. And it's true also to men. It's not just like a woman. It's true also to a man. A man will see the feel. So whether you are gay or straight or both, okay? You cannot rape a woman without raping your own soul as well. Simply put. You cannot rape a man or child without raping your own soul as well. And if you do it in the astral, more so. There are people that have sex physical and it's not on soul level. In astral, it's energy. Okay? It's the inner. Okay? You can have one astral encounter with someone, you know each other's psyche, and you can be married for 30 years. A person, if you did not engage energetically, then That one is doing that for duty because they want security, because they want to please the husband, because she never touched herself, and if she's Muslim, then she has genitalia mutilation. And then you try to learn this Kundalini thing. You have connection with someone on soul level. You know for each other. Okay, you're exposed for each other's data more than everything. Now go on with your life. Okay? At the same time, if you try to invade someone in energy, okay, astrally, and it's not for will and consent, what do you think is going to happen? You'll learn all this in the code, okay? As above, so below, as within, so without. In a spirit, doesn't matter. Okay, you learn all these things. Okay? You try to make a city profitable, you're basically founding a death camp. A city is it's not going to be profitable, it's not going to be now. As far as the higher rank concerned is okay. That's what you're meant to do. You're meant to undo. You're meant to undermine yourself, okay? That's the point. You're meant to work hard and do all these ceremonies for people to go into the cities and then bomb cities. Okay? Great. What is going to happen after that to you? Oh, God. Why do you think that Peter the Free spoke against the WHO? Why do you think that Shinzo Abe spoke against the WHO? Okay, they got it. There's a glitch in the matrix, a glitch in the MK Ultra. They got it. Because he was 33. If you think about the technique, you say, I'm going to get to the 33, and then I'm deciding that we're not having World War. Okay? That's a strategy. And then you have another phase that has another strategy, and then another phase that has another strategy, and then another phase that has another strategy. And then there's the emotional experience. They go by betrayal, these codes. And that's your economy. This is why in astrology, 8th house is like, oh, it is the house of betrayal. 12th house, the house of hidden enemy. Your bedroom is not the hidden enemy. The intimacy you have after you wed someone is not betrayal. It's nothing, because on the other hand, you see after you engage with someone on energy level, you see them, you feel them. Any act against them is against you. It can only happen if marriage forced, if sex forced, if economy forced, if there's slavery. Then it's very difficult to access the bedroom and intimacy. Even when you don't consider sex, okay? I channeled a person once that was very emotional. Once. Yes, it was in 2021. We are in 2025. The soul, okay, is still going through something. But I see the emotionally of how he was basically executed, and the emotions of the person that did that was painful. You can get killed, okay, for the emotions that somebody holds for you because you've been framed in a certain way, and that framing is killing you. This is Mercury 22. And while I was seeing that, it was already happening for this framing to me Shirley, in this life. By the very people that wanted me to assassinate Peter. And over my beliefs that going against basically WHO, but not just WHO's medical welfare in whichever name it undertakes. And why people care about will and consent is because it is for our well-being. If that was not a big issue, nobody would make it a big issue. It's a life and death issue. If that was not a life and death issue, nobody would make it a life and death issue. If the life and well-being of that which is the yin, of the feminine, less important, then I guess I will end up in a certain way. And what will ensue for humanity.